So I'll help highlight where I think people have unique challenges and where, like, just basically where it is everywhere. Everyone really thinks they're unique. I struggle to find anything that really is unique about folks up to about 20 million ARR. But these are all really good questions because I meet a lot of founders like Peter or Spencer at Amplitude or a lot of other teams, and a lot of the teaching that I do. I'm an engineer, but I built sales teams. But it is very much, I basically just had to go out and learn how to do sales on my own. I had a couple of good mentors, but really a lot of my thought process is around how do you reverse engineer the sale and just how do you show the sales cycle, get to product desk. So I've sort of developed these own methodologies that work for me as a salesperson, and then as I started to grow teams, like, hey, this methodology works, and just kept refining that and I teach that to other founders. So, but I love it when I think at the highest level, if you're a founder and you can really understand that shipping code and shipping revenue are really the only two things that a business does, and you do these two things. And if you can put the same rigor you have around how you engineer and do your agile and release your product, if you can apply that same rigor to sales, the processes are almost exact. They have different words, different language, you have different personnel, but really, if the best CEOs that I've and founders that I've seen, they certainly typically they're technical and they go out and they can ship product all day long, right? But if they really dive in and start to understand, usually I say you go out and do the first sale before you hire a salesperson. Once they go out and actually get some of that context, they understand how hard it is, and then it makes them a much more effective CEO. Because at the end of the day, you have your pulse on kind of those two bottlenecks, and as long as you're addressing both of them, shipping code and shipping revenue, you're basically unstoppable. So I can't encourage you enough. If you haven't done sales, or you've been reluctant to be like, I want to hire a salesperson, I can't encourage you enough to really dive in there and really understand what it is to do sales. If you can't, you're always going to be at a disadvantage for a salesperson bullshit. Right? It's kind of like if you don't know how to code, it's like the engineer estimating, oh, that's going to take 3 days. It takes 30 days. So really encourage you to go there. Again, after this session, I'm happy to just continue, and I'm happy to spend some time with you too after this. So where to begin? Votes?
Do we get a pulse of where people are generally in terms of revenue?
Oh, sorry, yeah. In regards to revenue, yeah. So maybe the tranches are you just starting out? Who's just zero revenue?
I've been selling to IT for 30 years.
It's not that guy. It's quite the opposite. Really, you're not looking for a salesperson. You're looking for somebody who's a problem solver and a builder, but also can sell, meaning they've worked with quota before. You can't take somebody who's never been on quota before and then expect them to do sales. It's like taking a QA engineer and saying, you're on the engineering team. It doesn't work. But here, can you take somebody who is curious, builder, has done sales before, is more like when they go out and sell, they're just like, I just want to understand why we solve this problem and how it helps the customer. They have more of a consultant mindset, but they know how to become a product domain expert, kind of like become a mini you, but they know how to go ask for money and be a little bit more professionally persistent. It's not annoying, but they know how to ask and how to drive it to its close. So that for sales hire does not look like the vast majority of people that you see as salespeople. I look for people usually with applied science, mathy type of backgrounds, that have maybe had at least 2 to 5 years of closing experience, and they just come in and they're just like, how do you learn? I pick up the manual, or tell me the last thing that you learned. You just want those curious builder types. Those people are going to help you just naturally go out, figure out how to close the deal, and their first question is going to be how did we close that? I don't actually know why they bought from us. Can we go talk to them now that they're a customer and have a more honest conversation? And I love doing this. It's going in after the customer. You should do this with existing customers and say, I got to ask you, what's the one reason that you bought from us? So that also is going to be something that you do not see. So that first sales hire is not a classic Rolodex person. not the enterprise 15 years experience. It's probably a person that has more like 5, depending on your ACV. They also have to be comfortable and committed deal size. You can't, if somebody sold 24K deals, you can't expect them to come in and close 120K, 150K deals. It's like, that's a little bit too much of a jump. If they close 60K deals, yeah, okay. But the backgrounds are usually that they are builders and they tend to be kind of quirky and they tend to like not look like salespeople. That's who you want. After you get this, salesperson 10, then you can go back into what's referred to as a coin-operated process. Is there, you understand the sale. There's nothing to kind of go figure out. But that's usually past the customer 100. Otherwise, every deal is like, learn something new there. Whoa, didn't know that. I don't think there's anything repeatable to 100 customers. If you're familiar with Steve Blank's stuff around customer development, it's very much about, I think the number one thing that I see founders not do, or not just intuitively do, is just go get FaceTime with prospects. And there's a real correlation. If you go meet with somebody, you're 1,000 times more likely to close them. So I have a story, this was maybe a year ago, but the founder, CEO, but I was very technical, about 2 or 3 salespeople on board. And I came in and we're talking about pipeline or whatever, and I look at one prospect and I go, where's their office? And it was literally like, it's in the city, a couple blocks away. And I go, why? You guys took the first meeting as a phone call? And the founder says, oh, well, I'm busy, I'm in the code, I'm like that. And so I said, any meeting that the salespeople that's in San Francisco, you have to go meet the person. He's like, oh, you have to commit to that. I said, okay. So I come back like a month later, we're walking through one deal. He goes, guys, I have this revelation. It seems that whenever I go meet with customers, we close a contract. I was like, yes! Remember we said that? One thing was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. But I can't emphasize that enough. Even with salespeople, I have to remind them all the time. You get somebody that's close, focus in your own neighborhood. We live in the 7th largest economy in the world, in California, but certainly in the Bay Area. If you can't get your business to like 20 million ARR just kind of from around here, you might be doing something that's too off. So I really want to encourage you guys to really drive your teams to say, some of this comes to what happens if I get a lead from another country. You got to say no to more things. Say no. I don't even want customers in New York right now. Get the customers that are right here, because if you go meet with them, you go spend time with them, they're not only going to inform your product roadmap, you're going to understand the pain that you're solving, and ultimately that customer, that VP or that CXO will sign a contract because you're sitting across the table from them. And that's also a huge competitive advantage, because a lot of other teams and CEOs and the founders will not go, just go get the FaceTime. So it's also a real competitive advantage. I've had lots of teams sign contracts and say, I know the product doesn't quite work, but I know you're going to fix it. I know the iteration cycle is going to be so fast that you're going to make it work. I just trust you. And they will sign contracts based on trust. I'll make this 10 minutes. Here's your problem. I bet you're having this issue and you have this challenge. Like, you're just putting it in their face. And they're like, how do you know that? Because I know the problem. I'm an expert, right? And so from there, by teaching immediately the pain that they probably have and having them validate that, then immediately you're going to go, either they're going to go like, yep, I've got it, or, you know what, I don't really have that pain. Or I use, again, this is another thing that I'll encourage you to implement for you and your teams is, in that first meeting, you're always quantifying pain. Pain is the only thing that matters. Everyone has the qualification frameworks and blah, 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 but it's like pain is the only thing that matters. And so if I'm coming into a meeting, it's coming in, I bet you have these problems, 1, 2, 3, and on a 0 to 10, how painful are they? And make them pick a number. It's like, it helps you just totally focus, and it makes them like, if it's a 7, it's really a 5. Really not that big. If it's an 8, 9, or 10, then you have the second meeting. So there's an easy way to, if the pain is not there, you don't spend time there. You're just educating, and you plant the seed, and you move on. So I think that's the hardest thing for a sales. That's what really separates exceptional salespeople from the mediocre ones. Is they qualify and teach faster, meaning in one call, in one meeting. Right? And that when you look at the sales profession, there really are only two. There are like three components, but the two, it's you never perfect qualifying, like the speed of qualifying. It's like, what's the one question you ask and you just nail it to know that this is the right fit. And of course, you need to be a domain expert in the thing, and then how you close. But the closing and the qualifying are things that sales will never, ever perfect. It's like a constant, and that's really where it separates the people that are exceptional and not. But that first meeting is really important because if you don't get a pain, and you have to ask this question very explicitly. On a 0 to 10, how do you rate that in your organization right now? Well, you know, it's kind of painful. On a 0 to 10, how do you rate that in your organization? Well, do not let them not answer the question. They won't answer it the first time you ask it. But if you can politely just go, understand, but if you had to pick 0 to 10, what would you pick? And by them picking a number, you're really going to know whether you're a good fit for them right now. And that backs into, you have to think about, especially in the early stages of the company, even if you're at a million, even if you're at 10, I'd say even if you're at 20 million, we're not trying to sell to everybody right now, right? You're trying to go in, qualify fast, see if there's pain. If there's acute pain, boom, you go all in. If there isn't acute pain, like 8, 9, 10, it's plant the seed. You know who to call when you have that pain. It's coming. I've just educated you on this thing. I've made you smarter, VP. So just know when you do, you're going to hit this pain at some point. So just know that, or just call me whenever you need some domain expertise. And then go on to the next meeting. Next meeting, next meeting, next meeting. Acute pain, boom. Then we're all in. So I'd say that, again, this is not unique to any salesperson or the sales pipeline. It's how do you say no and just qualify things out faster. Getting to know is, I love it when you get to know, or when you get to like, not a good fit right now. Great! Let's go have the next meeting and let's put that one and we'll connect with them in 6 or 12 months. Or they'll certainly call us. So does that make sense around different techniques? But I think there's only one technique that I would recommend, and it's much more direct. And there usually is never more than like 2 slides, maybe 3 slides. And this maybe goes into your pitch deck and the story. You do not need more than 3 slides, maybe 4. And I think it's professional. But a lot of my, I recommend this to founders all the time. It's you get in there and you guys, you're the domain experts. You know about this stuff more than anybody. So don't make it a pitch. This is like a teaching session. You guys are teaching them. So do not plug in your laptop. Do not try and waste 10 minutes trying to connect to their Wi-Fi to get the fucking screen working. It's a waste of time, right? It's like, hey, you might have some slides for backup conversation, but it's get up at a whiteboard and just start drawing. Like, hey, here's your problem, VP. You got this and this, and here's what we see in the market. You're probably having a problem there. I'm actually having a problem. Well, come and show me. You come and show me. Like, come up and it's like a collaborative working session to solve problems, right? And that's not a pitch. You're going in, you're educating, and then you get around a whiteboard and you get people moving, and now you can always go to a slide that says, here's maybe our architecture or something. It's a supporting slide, but you're not presenting. It's a really, really different way. I want you to think more about teaching the workshop style, and you're going into really kind of get people moving and get people thinking about the explicit problem you're solving. And there you come across, now the mindset's more you're a consultant, right? You're selling products and services and domain expertise, but acting like a consultant, acting like a problem, demonstrating your problem solving skills. That again is why people are going to buy it.
So we should never try to.
I think of the world as there's the freemium model or open source or things where a customer, I don't call them customers. People don't pay you money if they're a user, right? So if you have a free user-based part of the business, that really is lead gen. It's marketing. And like that's educating the market and just getting like the masses in there. And that to me takes a particular mindset. It's usually very close to like a B2C type of product. User experience is incredibly important. All these sorts of things. But once you get into customers paying you money, right? Then there's two flavors. It's a month-to-month kind of like credit card. I call that premium, and that sort of business is still self-servicey. Call it, it's very B2C like, where you're really just trying to get users and not have salespeople talk to them. Once you have salespeople talk to them, then to me the world goes into annual committed contracts at a minimum. They can be small, but it's like you're committing to us for a year. So if you're gonna have salespeople, I would not have salespeople converting people to month to month. Right? If you're having salespeople, the starting gate, the ground zero is they have to be selling annually committed contracts. Meaning they might pay per month, but it's a 12-month term at a minimum. And that really is kind of this is a binary world. It's kind of this premium credit card self-service world, and then there's the unique salespeople world. And again, that's unique to every business. And you guys, it sounds like here it's more B2B than salespeople. Annual committed contracts. Don't say the T word, B2B, that's a bad word. It's a pilot. So in this, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, we have 2 stages. How we typically work is first, let's educate you and understand if you've got a problem. Let's assume it's now qualified. We have a second meeting, right? Second meeting, we're just gonna, we have these 2 stages. Commercially, the other question is like, how much does it cost? What's the price? What's the price? What's the price? I don't even know if we can help you yet. Price doesn't matter. It's like, you don't even answer that question. When they ask money, it's like, I can't answer that. Let's first focus on, do you have the problem and can we solve the problem? And people won't really about that. Well, I didn't know the price. It's not $1 million. Okay? But if you focus in around product yes, and all product yes means, and I actually have a slide and it says product yes, it has it defined. So of my 3 slides, my second slide is, we're going to now talk about product yes. Product yes are the unique requirements that your team needs, checked off to feel confident that we're like the right launching partner. And everyone has their own ones. Like, they think they're unique, they're actually not. But hey, it's like, voice your opinion. And there again, you're acting like consultants where you're like, hey, let's talk about it. What are your number 1 priorities? Well, it's got to do X, it's got to do Y, and it's got to do Z, and it's got to do like W. And you're like, and some of these you're like, does it? And sometimes it's a bigger audience and everyone's just throwing all the crap up there. And you're like, hold on, we really need to do this? Oh no, but not really. Like, what's the minimum set of product test requirements? And usually you can then start here and start to like help. You go, okay, can we stack rank these now, everybody? Like, what's the number 1? Oh, Z is actually number 1. Okay, so in this working session, session number 2 is product yes, and you should be able to define this and come to an agreement on what the product yes scope is for success. And by there, you have a good understanding. They have an understanding of like, yeah, because many times the teams are large. You might have a lot of different people, and everyone's got maybe competing priorities. And it forces you to say, hey, everyone, you as a customer team need to agree to these and rank them. And then we also need to agree with them. Because if there are things that we can't do, it's like, we don't do that. Sorry. If that's a must-have requirement, we can stop talking. I missed that in earlier qualification. So for anyone that's done kind of consulting background, this is like a classic, just define the scope, work the scope, prioritize the scope, and get to product yes. And define that. So sometimes, some of these requirements will be, well, it needs to be integrated and live in a production environment, right? You're like, okay, that's product yes, but we can't prove that one yet. And that's part of the POC. So in some products, you can get to product yes. It's primarily on deal size and complexity, but sometimes you get to product yes in one call. Sometimes it's like, nope, this is product yes, but this one we have to prove in a POC. Fine. But before we're going to engage, we have a documented, and I usually follow up with a document, 1 page, very simple. Product yes requirements. Are we all agreed? Here are the things. Are we all agreed that these are the goals that we're all trying to hit mutually? And by using this language, product yes, then the customer starts using it too. Product yes, product yes, product yes. And once you get to product yes, you don't have to deliver on it. You just have to define it. And once it's defined, then you can go have the commercial discussion, commercial yes discussion. And that is just usually one person. It's usually just me. So I have found this really helps both my team and the customer team sit down and define whether we need to actually engage and work with each other or not. And if we can, then this discussion is super easy. It's so easy. It usually takes you like 90% of the sales cycle is this, and then 10% that.
So which do you actually?
Lead gen in the early days is really a nice to have. And usually it's around, can I go out and do some general broader evangelism that I know I'm going to need to do to monetize that maybe in like 24 months. But now that's probably why you raise venture money, right? So you can start to fund that. Because it's very hard to build an inbound engine. It takes a while, like 12 months to 18 months before you can start to see, in my opinion, quality revenue coming in the door.
So when you say early days, what stage are you talking about?
To me, even 20 million to 20 million. So even you guys at 1 or closer to 5, still, you're great customers. Go call them up right now, or go take them to lunch, or go on site. How are you guys doing? Here's what we're thinking on roadmap. What should we be doing? Great. How are the teams doing down in the trenches? Great. But as founders and CEOs, what problems do you need us to be solving in the future? And by the way, there's one person. And then in 60 days, go back and ask them again. Like it's not one, you don't just ask them one time, because all the time, you guys know it too. You have a dinner with an old colleague or somebody like, oh, I just got coffee with, I hadn't talked to them, and it's like, oh, it's just a time, it just happened to be that particular time. It's like, yeah, just like go call that person. So customers love to help us. We just never ask for it. And they will help us and help us and help us and help us. And then, especially when they, even internally, they're like, well, here's what's going on in the organization right now. You're going to go over there and just think about the can. And there's some opportunity. You should go talk to Toby. Great. Boom. So, do anything. Go ask the customers or just people that get what we do. It might not even be a customer. They just get it, right? They're like, damn, if I was in a different place, a different company, I would be like working with you guys. Those evangelists, right? Go ask them for one introduction. Or not an introduction, sorry. One person that they would recommend us to go talk to. We'll go start the conversation. Ask customers. That to me is ridiculous. Everything else is bonus. So along,
I've been selling to IT for like 30 years.
it's not that guy. It's quite the opposite. Really, you're not looking for a salesperson. You're looking for somebody who's like a problem solver and a builder, but also can sell, meaning they've worked with quota before. You can't take somebody who's never been on quota before and then expect them to do sales. It's like taking a QA engineer and saying, you're on the engineering team. It doesn't work. But here, can you take somebody who is curious, builder, has done sales before, is more like when they go out and sell, they're just like, I just want to understand why we solve this problem and how it helps the customer. They have more of a consultant mindset, but they know how to become a product domain expert, kind of like become a mini you, but they know how to go ask for money and be a little bit more like professionally persistent. It's not like annoying, but they know how to ask and how to like drive it to its close. So that for sales hire does not look like the vast majority of people that you see as salespeople. I look for people usually with applied science, mathy type of backgrounds, that have maybe had at least 2 to 5 years of closing experience, and they just come in and they're just like, how do you learn? I pick up the manual, or tell me the last thing that you learned. Like, you just want those curious builder types. Those people are going to help you just naturally go out, figure out how to close a deal, and their first question is going to be like, how did we close that? I don't actually know why they bought from us. Can we go talk to them now that they're a customer and have a more honest conversation? And I love doing this. It's going in after the customer. You should do this with your existing customers and say, I got to ask you, what's the one reason that you bought from us? Like, so that also is going to be something that you do not see. So that first sales hire is not a classic, Rolodex person, not the enterprise 15 years experience. It's probably a person that has more like 5, depending on your ACV. They also have to be comfortable and committed deal size. You can't. If somebody sold 24K deals, you can't expect them to come in and close 120K, not 150K deals. It's like that's a little bit too much of a jump. If they close 60K deals, yeah, okay. But the backgrounds are usually that they are builders and they tend to be kind of quirky and they tend to like not look like salespeople. So that's who you want. After you get this, salesperson 10, then you can go back into what's referred to as a coin-operated process. Is there, you understand the sale. There's nothing to kind of go figure out, but that's usually past the customer algorithm. Otherwise, every deal is like learn something new there. Whoa, didn't know that. I don't think there's anything repeatable to it.